Hello, Pastor. My name is Roberto.
Hi, Roberto.
Hi. I've been wanting to ask you this question for a long time because you have a habit of looking at things more deeply than other pastors. As the body of Christ, are there any insights that you have extrapolated that we might gain from the fact that woman was the only living being that was not made from the dust, but that was made from man? There's the obvious bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh, but is there something maybe that you can share with us that is a little bit deeper than that?
Well, the series I did in Genesis, I covered a lot of those kinds of things. I would simply say this: woman is the direct creation of God. And she was made with dust in a secondary sense, since Adam was made from dust. She, being made from Adam, was made from the same stuff that he was made from. And so we don't want to make too big an issue out of that. But what is clear, and it must be understood, is that woman was created for man because man without her was incomplete. Obviously, you can't procreate. But procreation wasn't even the first issue. The first issue was companionship. So woman is the one who completes man. I don't think that we want to draw any conclusion that because she alone was not created from the dust, she is something higher than man, nobler than man, because bone is more exalted than dust. But I do think what we want to understand is that man is incomplete without woman. There is a temptation to make a case for woman's inferiority because she was the one who was deceived and brought the race down. Adam was not deceived. I don't think you want to go there either, because Adam was completely agreeable to the iniquity which Eve was engaged in. So I think it's simply the design of God, rather than creating a man and a woman out of dust and bringing them together, to make the point that rather than being viewed as absolutely in all ways equal, man is created as the head, clearly, and woman is then later created from man to be his helper. And this is the divine order, as God is the head of Christ, and Christ is the head of the man is the head of the church, of the woman. So I think it's trying to show us that it's critically important in marriage that there be a man who is in charge and a woman who is there to help. And then, of course, out of that comes procreation. In our society today, of course, that has been literally obliterated by the feminist movement. And now the latest assault on family, lesbian marriage or homosexual marriage. By the way, you've seen that happen now in the state of California. It isn't going to change a lot now because in countries where they have allowed homosexual marriage, only about 10% of homosexuals ever get married. They don't want to get married. That isn't the point. They do not want to get married. Only 10% of them, as I said, do get married. They don't want to get married. They just want to have sex with somebody of their own sex. That's what they want to do. It's a very small group that want to get married. But what they do want is legitimacy for their behavior, and this gives them that. But when a state or an entity says that marriage is a coupling of two people on any terms, it has completely denied the biblical kind of marriage. Because biblical marriage is not a coupling of any two people for sexual reasons. It is, by God's design, a coming together of two people to produce families. That's what it's for. And the exception is barrenness. But the pattern that God ordained was a man and a woman to support that man, and the bearing of children to produce families, to pass righteousness from one generation to the next. So as soon as you eliminate children, and we've already seen that, a wave of people wanting to get married but not have children, and then you come to the place where homosexuals and lesbians can come together and be called marriage, you know that marriage has been redefined now as a coupling of any two people of any sex for sexual purposes and nothing else, and it has lost its identity, its biblical identity, its true identity, as a means by which people can bear children in well-ordered societies. And I will tell you what will happen. When you define marriage as any other thing than for the purpose of bearing children to be raised by a father and a mother so that society can be protected and preserved by well-ordered families, you will see a massive increase in delinquency, crime, and all kinds of mental disorder, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse because children who are exposed to those kinds of environments are going to be so warped in the future as to have no bearings morally or socially. And that's what's coming, and it's going to come like a flood. So I think the point of Genesis is that God made the man as the head and the woman as the helper, and the purpose was to raise families, to bear children and fill the earth, and to pass righteousness and order down through society. When that family is disintegrated, society literally flies apart at the seams. Okay?
Amen.